mentions the documents show payment, transformation cost, and coded entries. They do not explain what was begin move the petrol leads for years. Eras photograph everything. One page contain a reference to another facility. This may be the next step toward damage, but before they can examine it properly, they hear a vehicles outside. Hakan people have arrived. The tensions immediately changes. Aras and Toyman switch from arguing to several. Toyman whispers that if his father sent the men, they cannot allow themselves to be seen together. Asks why Toyman say because if Hakan realizes Toyman is helping Aras, he will hide everything before they can finding the trust. Aras agree they collect the most important documents but cannot carry everything. Toyman takes the photograph. Aras keep the page connected to the child, transfer and record to the rest on the phone. They hear his main door open. They are not simply checking the building, they have come to clear it. One say they have ordered to remove every box from the back room. Another asks whether they should burn the old papers that transform the danger. Somebody knows the secret are no longer safe here. Aras and Toyman have arrived only minutes before the evidence disappears forever. They move towards another exit but find it locked from outside. Toyman whispers that there was another door near the room where they first met. Aras they say may are coming from that directions. They need another way. Aras spots an old window high on the wall. Toyman are on the wall. Toyman looks at the carry everything. Toyman takes the place. Aras keep the page connected to the child, transfer or record the rest on his phone. The hears the main doors opens. The men are not simply checking the buildings, they have come to clear it. One say had ordered to remove every box from the back room. Another asked whether they should burn the old paper that confirm the danger. Somebody knows the secret are no longer safe here. Eras and Toyman have arrived only minutes before the evidence disappears forever. They move toward another exit found but find it locked from outside. Toyman whispers that there was another door near the room where they first met. Aras says the men are coming from the directions. They need another way. Aras spots an old window height on the wall. Toyman looks at its call, tells him he cannot be serious. Aras says he has heard that many times. They climb onto all furniture to reach it. They noise attractions, attentions. One of the men sell out. Aras pushes Toyman toward the opening first. Toyman tells him to go. Aras says Toyman is closer, even in danger. Arthur wants to look like the one begins reduced by the others. Eventually, Toyman climbs through and reach outside. Aras follows, but part of the old furniture collapses. The men hear the sound and the begins running toward the room. Aras gets through the window just before they arrive. Both young men run across the back of the property and is like behind a broken wall. The man caves them, but darkness helps. Toyman cars is parked too close to the main road, so using it would reveal his identity. Aras tell him to leave it. Toyman look at him as thought he has suggested abortions a family member. Aras they begin is more useful than having a car. They continue on foot. This escape can become an important turning point in their relationships. They are not suddenly friends. Too much history stand between them, but for the first time, they have protected the same trust. When Toyman slips while moving down a rocky path, Aras grabs his arm. Toyman makes a scarifid comment. Aras tells him next time he will let him fall. Minutes later, when one of men almost sees Aras, Toyman pulls him behind a wall. Nathan says thank you both. Understand. They finally reach a quiet road. Toyman checks his phone and sees several missed calls from Dennis. Aras notices and smiles. He asks if Toyman has become the kind of person who needs permissions to despair. Toyman tells him to mind his own business. Before they can continue arguing, headlines appears. Both prepare to hide, but the car stops near them. Dennis gets out furious. She follows the locations Toyman sent her after he stopped answering. She sees Aras and becomes even more confused. Dennis demands to know why both of them are in middle of nowhere looking like they escape from a crime scene. Toyman may say that description is unfair. Aras says it is actually very accurate. Dennis tells them to get into the car. Before, however, they are hiding from find them. This moment brings the three together in a way none expected. On the drive away, Dennis keeps asking questions. Toyman refuses to explain in front of Aras. Aras tells him he is acting as Thor's. Dennis does not already know he is a disaster. Dennis agrees with Archers to annoy Toyman for a short time. The heavy mystery is mixed with humors. But when Aras remembers Sahra's clue, Dennis becomes serious. She asks whether this is about Tamar. Aras says yes. Toyman looks at him, surprised by how quickly Aras answers her. Aras notices the look at says Dennis already knows enough. Toyman says apparently everyone knows everything expecting him. Dennis replies that maybe if he stopped yelling for 5 minutes, pupils would tell him things. Their arguments almost becomes playful until Aras takes out the page of the phone. The document changes the mood again. Dennis looks at the date. Toyman looks at the company name. Both recognize different pieces of the puzzle. Toyman says the company had business ties to his father's. Dennis points out the transfer note. Aras says the child identity is hidden behind an initials, but the age could match. Toyman asks whether Aras really believes his father was involved in hiding his brothers. Aras carefully answers that no longer know what to believe. That response is important. Instead of directly excuse Khan, he leaves room from the possibility from the trust is more complicated. Toyman look at the old photograph again. Dennis asks what it is. At first he does not want to show her. Then he gives it to her. Dennis recognizes one face, perhaps from another family story, and Toyman becomes shocked that she knows the person. She explains where she saw the name before. Suddenly, the photograph may connect not only to Toyman's childhood but to another old event that several families have tried to forget. This is where the mystery of Daha 17 can become much larger than one missing is child. Arask has believed his entire journey was about finding Stammer. Toyman has believed his questions were about understanding his fathers. They may now discover that both the stories began around the same hidden network of decisions. Maybe children were moved to protect adults, maybe identities were changed, Maybe someone believes separating brothers were the safest option. Maybe Hakan's know the trust but was not the person who started everything. The most interesting directions would be one where every adult carries only part of the secret. That would explain why different people are affair for different reasons, while Aras, Toyman and Dennis are moving away from the property. Leila may be traveling toward it. She has finally decided to tell Arask what she discovered. She calls him, but his phone is low on battery. After the search, he does not answer. She sends message, no reply, thinking he may already be at the location. She goes there alone. This creates a new danger. The men who failed to catch Aras and Toyman are still searching the areas. When Leila arrives, she sees movement near the building and realizes immediately that she made mistake. She tries to leave quality, but one of the men notices the car. Because the vehicles connected to the Akaya family, the hesitate they do not know whether Leila was sent by Hakan or came independently. Leila understands from the behavior that they work for someone close to her father's. Instead of panicking, she acts as though she belongs there. She asks why they are still at the property and say her father wanted everything finishing before morning. The next man exchange uncurtains looks. Leila takes advantage of their confusions. She walks into the buildings as though she her authority. Instead, she sees the boxes are being removed. She also noticed sign that someone searched the room recently. A broken chair and open cabinet, papers on the floor. She realized Aras may have been there. One man called Hakan to confirm Laila's story. Now Laila has only minutes. She searched the room connected to the world she discovered at the villa. Most useful papers are gone, but beneath a fallen folder she finds an old photograph. It includes Sehrat. More importantly, another person in the pictures looks strategy familiar. Laila cannot immediately understand why. Then he hears the man behind her saying her name. Her father is one of the phone. Laila turns. The man holds the phone and tells her Hakan wants to speak with her. She searched the room connected to the world she discovered at the villa. Most useful papers are gone, but beneath a fallen folder she finds an old photograph. It includes Sehrat. More importantly, and other persons in the pictures look strategy familiar. Lala cannot immediately understand why. Then she hears the man behind her saying her name. Her father is on the phone. Lala turns. The man holds out the phone and tells her Hakan wants to speak with her. She has no good explanations for begins there. She takes the phone. Hakan does not shout his claim, voice is worse. He asks where she is. Lala knows where she points. Lala because one of the men is standing in front of her. She says he can become. She wanted answers. Hakan tells her to return home. Immediately Lala asks where the building is. Hakan repeats the order. Lala asks why Aras brothers may be connected to a place owned by people associated with their family. There is a silence. That silence is give her more information than any answers. Hakan finally tells her she is playing with something she does not understand. Lala says then he should explain it. He tells her some secrets are not Here to carry, Lala answers that one those secret begins destroying her life. They became her too. She ends the calls. The man is shocked. Nobody normally ends a call with Hakan's dead way. Lala leaves before he can receive another orders. On the road home, she continues calling Aras. Eventually, he answers. At voice is tense, where he realized where she has been instead of up. Being grateful that she found information, he became angry. He asked why she went alone. Lala cannot believe his reaction. She tells he has been doing exactly the same thing since they met. Era says that is different. Lala asks why. He says Lala he knows what these people can do. Lala become quiet. She asks those peoples you mean my family. Aras realized how his uh, world sound. Their arguments grows quickly. Aras tells her is not saying she is like them. Lala says he clearly believes everyone around them is dangerous. Expect her. And one day he may decide she is dangerous to Aras said is not what he means. Lala tells him that every time he hides something he say it is protected her, but she takes a risk for help him. He treats he likes a child. Arask has no easy answers. Lala tells him about the photograph. That immediate photograph changes his tone. He asks who he is in it. Lala says she don't know, but she is there and another face seems familiar. Aras asks her to meet him. Lala says he will, but this time there are conditions: no more half trust, no more despairing without explanations. If they are going to search together, they search together. If cannot expect that he will continue on her own. Alas, no, she meant it. This may become one of the strongest moments in their relationships because love is no longer shown through romantic words. It is shown through whether they can respect each other as equal. Aras says yes, but Lala does not immediately forgive him. She tells him does not return because of one promise. Meanwhile, back at the Akaya villa, Hakan confronts Sabnam. He wants to know how Lala found the property. Sabnam says she does not know, but she understands the real problems. The children are discovering connections faster than the adults can hide them. Hakan says the need to act before Arask finds Demar. He could be the first time the accident received a clear sign. The Hakaya knows more about Demar's location than she has admitted. Sabnam asks what he plans to do. Hakan says the situation has changed. Sehrar talk Toyman is asking questions. Lala in an investigating. Arask has reached the old property. The old plan can be longer protect them. Sebnam looks frightening by what Hakan suggests next. He says next that moving Demar now could make everything worse. That one sentence could change the entire story. It could mean Demar may be alive, rich, able, and perhaps close than Aras realizes. Hakan answers that leaving him where he is become even more dangerous. If the story moved this way, Aras would be only one step behind his brothers while Hakan tries to move Demar somewhere else. The case would become urgent. Aras is no longer searching for information from years ago. He is racing against decisions begin made right now. Toyman return home later and behave as normally as possible. His dirty clothes makes that difficult. Hakan noticed Toyman claimed he was out with friends. Hakan acted with friends. Toyman casually is named Dennis. Hakan studies him. Toyman realizes his fathers may already know someone entered the property. Neither may say it directly. Their conversations become a quiet battle. Hakan asks whether Toyman has recently visited an interesting places. Toyman smiles and says every place becomes interesting when parents keep asking where you were. Hakan tells him not to test him. Toyman responds that he is simply answering our questions. For the first time, the power inside their relationships begin shifting. Hakan still has authority, but Toyman has information, and informations give him courage. Later in his room, Toyman studies the photograph again. He zooms into the background using his phone. There is a sign partly visible behind the people. He searched the name online and discovered that the place in the pictures was connected to a medical facility or private organization that closed years ago. That gives him another location. Before he can investigate further, Dennis calls. This time he answers immediately. Dennis asks whether he is safe. Toyman says yes. He asks whether his father suspect anything. Toyman says properly. Dennis tells him not to do anything stupid alone. Toyman asks why she cares so much. Dennis becomes quiet. It is easier for her to argue with him than answers that questions. She finally says she does not want to spend another night driving through empty roads because he thinks he is some kind of detective. Toyman smiles. He says she came because she was worried. Dennis tells him not to make it romantic. Toyman says he did not. Dennis says his voice did. Their relationships move forward through this kind of moment, not a sudden confession. Both understand something is changing, but neither is ready to name it. Aras and Lala meets near the sea because both need somewhere away from their families and friends. Their meetings begin coldly. Lala gives him the photograph but keeps her distance. Aras shows her the documents connected to the child. They compare what they found. Sehrat appears in Lala photograph beside people's linked to the old property. One of the name on Ara's page also appears written behind the photos. For the first time, they behave two separate pieces of evidence confirming each other. Lala asks Aras to tell her exactly what happens at the building. He explained that Toyman has there too. Lala is surprised. Aras says Toyman was investigating his father's. That frightens her more than anything. If Toyman himself believes Hakan is hiding some things, then his secret may be much deeper than Lala hoped. Aras also tells her that Hakan came to remove evidence. Lala understands why her father was so angry when he discovered her there. So they needs to speak to Toyman. Aras does not like the idea. Lala reminds him that Toyman already knows part of the trust. Keeping everyone separated only helps the people hiding information. Aras cruelty agrees. Then Leila asks the question she has been avoiding. If we find out my fathers did some things to Damar, what happens to us? Aras looks at her. There is no safe answer. He says whatever Hakan did is not Laila's fault. Laila says that is not what she asked. She wanted to know whether Arask will still be able to look at her without seeing the family they may have destroyed his childhood. Arask has her. He does not know what the trust will be, what he knows. What he has done, he stood beside him when he should him walk away. He risked her relationships with her family. She went search for answers even after he pushed away. Laila's eyes fill with emotions, but she does not want easy comfort. She says she is tired of living between two worlds. Arask tell her never ask her to choose him over her family. Laila answers that sometimes refusing to choose is still a choice. Laila answers that sometimes refusing to choose is still a choice. These conversations could depend the series because Laila's struggle is not simply about romance. She is discovering that becoming her own person may require accepting trust about her family that she never wanted to know. The next morning, Aras returns to the children's homes and tries to behave normally. The younger kids do not know the full dangers around him. What gives him a short moment of peace? One of them asks whether he will bring Demmer there when he finds them. Aras stops. The question is simple, but it touches his deepest hope. He says if Demmer wants to come, there will always be a place for him. The child asks whether Demmer even remembers Aras. Aras smiles and says he does not know. Later alone, the question is heard. Aras has spent years building his identity around finding his brothers. He has never considered that Demers may have no memory of him. If Tamer was very young when they are separated, he may have grown up believing another story. The possibility creates a new fear. What if finding Tamer does not automatically give Ras his brother's back? The emotional uncertainty makes his search more human. The goal is no longer a simple reunion, it is a confrontation with whatever life Demer has lived without him. Mantis arrives with new information. The transfer documents contain a code. At first they thought it was only an administrative number, but Martins discovered the same code appears in another old record. It points toward the organization's Toyman found through the photograph. Now the storyline connects completely. Aras calls Toyman. Toyman answers suspiciously and asks why Aras hand his number. Aras says that is not important. Toyman says is very important. Aras tells him they found another location. Toyman becomes silent. He has the exact same locations. Both realize they are again following the same trail. This time, instead of racing separately, they agree to meet first. Dennis wants to come. Laila says she remembered the face for somewhere too. Dennis studies the image and suddenly realizes she saw the man recently. Everyone looked at her. She explained that he is not only part of the past, he is still around. The revelations changes the entire directions of the investigations. The young group believed they were following people or placed from years ago. Now they discovered that someone directly connected to those events still be active in boredoms. Aras asked where Janice saw him. She described a location. Aras remembered seeing a similar man near Sahrat. Toyman begins connected the piece if the man worked with his father's years ago and will appears around Sahrat now. Then he may know where Stammer is. Arask wants to leave immediately. Layla stops him. She tells him need a plan. Aras says every minute matters. Toyman unexpectedly spots Layla. He says rushing toward the man could warn Hakan. Aras becomes angry and asks whether Toyman is still protecting his father. Toyman answers that he is protecting the investigations. That sentence makes real growth. Earlier, Toyman might have defensive Hakan because he was family. Now he want the trust, whatever it means. This creates a new team thought one none of the would call it that. As they follow the mystery, Dogans may become increasingly suspicious of Lala's behavior. He noticed that he disappears after receiving message. He sees her meetings, Aras even after her family told her to stay away. He also noticed Toyman acting strategy. At first, Dogans may believe the problem is simply romantic. Perhaps he thinks Layla and Aras are meeting secretly. Hakan eventually disapproves, but eventually he understands that Toyman and Dennis are involved too. He followed them once. That choice placed him directly inside the danger. Dogans watches from a distance as a group follows the undefeated man. He has no idea when they are investigations when the man suddenly changes direction. Dogan almost reveal everyone positions. The confrontation is immediately. Aras assumes Dogan works for Hakan. Dogan becomes angry at the executions. Layla steps between them. She explained that Dogans gave her information about the old property without knowing what it means. Aras does not like hearing that Layla has been discussing the investigations with him. Jealousy appears the worst possible time. Dogan noticed and makes a small comment that irritates even more. Layla tells both of them to stop behaving like children. Toyman qualities enjoy seeing someone else become the target of Layla's anger. Dennis notices the smiling and tells him the moment brings some humor, but Dogan's presence now creates a difficult decision. They can send him away, but he already knows something is happening. On the can't tell him enough to keep him from accidentally causing more troubles. Layla chooses the second option. Aras disagree. Once again, the issue of trust returns. But this time, Aras stops himself before trying to control the decisions. He remembers his promise to Layla. He says he does not like it, but he will trust her judgment. That small sentence means more Layla than a romantic speech. Dogans learn that they are searching for information. connected to an old family secret, but they do not him everything about Demir yet. He says his presence pay now more about the people in the photograph. This turns him from a possible rival into a possible source of information. However, they can still be uncertainty about the true lore. It is helping because his own family has something to protect. Meanwhile, Hakan begins moving against him. Meanwhile, he discovered that where Hakan from the old property, his men cannot identify everyone who entered, but they report seeing the two young men. Hakan seeing two young men. Hakan suspects Aras. The second person worries um, his more. He gets to Toyman room. While Toyman is away, he searches quality. He finds so photograph because Toyman has hidden it somewhere else, but he sees mud on the shoes Toyman wore that night. Hakan now believes his son at the property with Aras. For him, he feels like betrayal, yet they cannot confront Toyman openly without confirming there is something worth hiding. Instead, Hakan set a trap. He internationally leaves false information where Toyman can find it. The false clue point toward a location completely unrelated to Demar. Hakan hopes Toyman will take it to Aras. If Aras follow the fake trail, Hakan will know they are working together and gain time to move Demar. Toyman find the information later. Something about it feels too easy. He remembers how difficult every real clue has been. Suddenly finding a perfect address inside an unlocked drawer does not make sense. He takes a photograph but leaves the documents exactly where it was. When he tells Aras, Aras wants to investigate anyway. Toyman says that is what his fathers expect. They argue. Aras says ignoring a possible clue about Demon is not a risk he can take. Toyman says walking into an obvious trap he will not help Demon. Lala again becomes the voice between them. He suggests they verify the address without physically going there. Dennis remembers someone may be able to check whether the property is currently active. The group starts learning to use their different strengths instead of depending only on Ra's courage. They discovered the addresses was recently retended using a company connected to Hakan. This makes it seem real, but Toyman remains suspicious. Then they find something else. The rental began only after Toyman started asking questions. It is essentially a trap. Aras realizes Hakan is watching Toyman. That means their secret teams may not remain secret much longer. Hakan trap also shows how frightening he has become. He is no longer simply hiding the past, he is actively manipulating his own children to protect it. Toyman takes his personally, his expressions become hard. He says his father wants to play game with him. He can play too. Arask warns him not to turn the search for Demar into a family competition. Toyman says its stop begins a competition the moment these fathers lie to his face. The two young men understand each other more. Their authors wants to admit Both feel admired by adults who control their childhood. Both have built her personality because trust has been dangerous. Their friendship, if it develops, may be one of the strongest parts of the story because it would grow from conflict rather than easy agreement. The investigators finally lead them back to the united field man. This time they follow him carefully. He visits a quiet cafe, meets someone for only a few minutes, and leaves with an involved. Toyman photographed the second person. Lala recognized him as someone who once attended family gatherings. Arask remembered the same from Sehrat records. Now they have another link. The second man drives toward a marina. Aras, a toyman, follow at a distance while Lala and Dennis stay behind to examine the photograph at the marina. The man approaches a boat. Aras' head begins racing because one word, Sehrat, used in an earlier conversation, suddenly makes sense. The entire investigation may be connected not only to properties on land but to movement by sea. A person can be hidden in another town, another island, or another country for more easily if the transfer never appears through normal road. Aras begins to fear Demer may be moved again. He watches man loads bag onto the boat. Then he sees a young figure more from behind. For 1 second, everything around him disappears: the height, the age, the movement. Aras whispers Demer's name. Toyman grabs his arms before he can run forward. Aras tries to pull away. Toyman tells him that they do not know who the boy is. Aras says he has to see his face. Toyman warns that it's a chance people are there. Revealing himself could cause them to move the boy immediately. Aras struggles against every insect in his body. He has spent years searching now a possible answers stand only a short distance away. The boy turns slightly, but another man blocks the view. Aras still cannot his face. This was group begins boarding the boat. Aras makes his decisions. He cannot watch another possible chance whispers. He moves. Toyman follow because he knows there is not stopping him. This is where the sections can reach its biggest emotional point. Aras approaches the marina without a full plan. He keeps his eyes only on the boys. The man noticed him. One step forward, Aras does not stop. Toyman creates a distraction from another side, drawing two men away. Aras reaches the dog. The boy turns. For one moment, Aras finally sees his face. For the moment, the finally sees his face, and everything his image collapses into silence. The boy is not Demer. Aras stop or thought someone hit him. All the hope that carried them forward disappeared in 1 second. The young strangers look frightening, having no idea why Aras is starting at him. One of men pushes Aras back. Toyman arrives and pulls him away before the situation becomes worse. They escape, but Aras not longer fight with the same energy. Later, sitting in near the water, Aras says nothing. Toyman does not know how to confront him. He eventually said that the fact the boy was not Dahmer does not mean the trail is wrong. Eras asks how many times he is supposed to believe that every clue becomes another door, every door leads to another secret. Every time he thinks she is close, Dahmer disappears again. Toyman sits beside him. Once for there are no jokes and no insults. He tells Eras that he cannot understand exactly what this search feels like, but he now understands what it means to discover your entire past may be built on lies. Eras looks at him. Toyman says he will find out what happens. He uses the word we neither's comment on it. Back at the villa, another major event may be unfolding. Sebnam secretly meets near Newly. Their relationship carries its own tensions because both women may know pieces of the same dangerous history. Sebnam warns Nuri that Eras is getting too close. Nure says perhaps he discovered the trust. Sebnam becomes angry. He says the trust will destroy more than Hakan. Nure answers that people always say that when that they really means is the truth will expose them. Sebnam tells her to be careful. Nure says she has been careful for years and it has only allowed the lie to grow. These conversations can reveal that Nure knows something specific about Tamer. Maybe she did not know where he is now, but she knows we arrange the separations. He may also why Arask was allowed to believe one story while Tamer was given an others. If Nure finally chooses to help Aras, the balance changes again. But before she can reach him, Sebnam's may threatening Sebnam's Nure value. This keeps Nure trapped between fear and conscience. Lala may overhears only part of these conversations. One hears Damer's name. This is enough. She waits until Sebnam leaves and confronts Nure. Nure is shocked. Leila asks directly whether her family was involved in separating Aras from his brothers. Nure cannot answer. Leila tells her silence is an answer. Nure finally says the story is more complicated than Leila understands. Leila replies that everyone keeps saying that, yet nobody explains what the complications is. Nure becomes emotional and tells that Leila some choices were made because people believe they were saving a child life. Leila frees the introduced a new possibility. What if Damer was not taken only for cruel reasons? What if somebody believes that he is dangerous? That does not excuse the lie, but it makes the past more complex. Leila asks whose is his life they were trying to save. Nure refuses to say more before leaving. However, the tell Leila on thing around, she stopped looking at the Akaya family at through every members know the same trust, different people know different parts. That clue become vital. Leila shared it was Aras. Leila shares it was Aras. Aras react with frustrations. He says he is trying to write less. Leila says this is not a riddle. It means they have been asking the wrong questions. Instead of asking what does the Akaya family know, they need to ask what each person knows separately. They create a mental map. Hakan knows where a certain evidence is hidden and seems connected to Damer current locations. Sebnam knows enough to be terrified to the past. Nure knows some way decisions are made. Serhat knows how to connect the pieces. Toyman past if somehow try to the same place. There are the still missing people in the story. Arask realized the unfinished man from the photograph may be the persons who moved between all these groups. The man become their next target. Dogan returns with information from own family. He says his father's remember then man but refuses to discuss him. That reaction is suspicious. Dogan also notes that the man once used an other user's name. Why they search that name, they find an old connections to a private children organization Erasfield as told the fraud that has disappeared beneath him. This may be the first clear link between the mysterious man and children separated from families. The organizations could after an investigation year ago, but many records were never made public. Aras asks what kind of investigations. Dogan says there were questions about money and false documents. False identities. Aras immediately thinks about Damer. If Damer identity was changed, searching for the real name may never have worked for years. Arask may have been looking for a look officially no longer exists under the name Demir. This possibility is devastating but also hopeful. It explains why every normal search failed. Toyman asks the next question if Demir has another identity would choose it. The answers could reveal the central secret of the series. Aras became determined to find the old organization's records. They learned that some documents were moved to an archive after the organizations closed. Assessing them legally could take weeks. Aras said they do not have weeks. Lala immediately recognized that expressions. She tells him not to even think about breaking into another building. Aras says he was not thinking about it. Everyone looks at him. He admits he was thinking about it. For once the group finds another solution. Toyman uses the family connections to request information under believable reasons. Dogan uses his family name to support the request. Lela finds an old contact. Dennis organizes the pieces they already have. Aras, who have always survived by acting alone, watches the other work and slowly understands something important. He is no longer alone. That should make him feel safe. Instead, it scares him. Having people beside him means having more people he can lose. Later, Lala notices him standing apart. She asks what is wrong. Aras says spent years believing that is found Damer everything would finally become simple. Now he close he get the more complicated everything became. Lala tells him life does not become simple because we get the answers we wanted. Someone answers only give us a new question or ask whether she regret helping him. Lala says she regrets that he ever had to search this hard. She does not regret standing beside him. Their relationships begin healing not because the problem disappears, but because they finally start sharing them. Then the achieved response arrives. There is a record connected to the code on Ira's documents. A child was transferred under a new identity. The date matches the original name field it hidden, but one pieces of information remain visible. The first date, Ara's knows Demmer birth date. He looks at the screen. It matches for several seconds. Nobody speaks. Aras asks them to check again. Dennis checks, Toyman checks, Lela checks the date in the same. For the first time, they have evidence stronger than rumors. Dammer may truly have been given another identity. Aras hands shake. He asks for the new name. The record is incomplete, but part of it is visible. They now have the first letters. That is enough to begin another search. Toyman says, after years of searching for a missing boy, he may finally be searching for real person living another name. But the hope does not last long. Toyman phone receives a message from Hakan. It contains only a photograph. The photograph shows the entrance. Come home alone if you want the trust. Toyman stares at the screen, asks where happened. Toyman show him everyone understanding immediately. Hakan is no longer pretending. The hidden wall inside the family has become open. Toyman say he is going. Dennis tell him it is obviously a trap. Toyman says maybe, but it is also the first time the father has offered to speak directly. Arask tell him not to trust Hakan. Toyman answers that he does not. This is exactly tells him trust Hakan. Toyman answers that he does not. This is exactly when he does not. This is exactly why he needs here to that. Hakan says Lela wants to go him because Hakan is her father's too. The message say alone. Toyman decides to obey that part of the secretly leave his phone connected to Dennis so the other can hear what happens. When Toyman enters the villa, Hakan is waiting. The house feels strategy quiet. Hakan tells him to sit. Toyman remains standing. Hakan says whether he has been helping Aras. Toyman asks whether the answers will change. What Hakan tells him. Hakan says everything has consequence. Toyman replies that lying to your son of your years also has consequence. Hakan faces changes. He asks what Toyman thinks he knows. Toyman says enough to understand Sahra, the children organization, the Damar are connected. Hakan is shocked by how much he has discovered. Toyman places the photograph on. Toyman then places the photograph on the table. For the first time, Hakan loses control of his expressions. Toyman sees it. He points to the underfronted man and asks who he is. Hakan does not answer. Toyman asks why this man appears in photograph connected to their family and to places involved in child transfer. Hakan finally says the man name. The group listening through Toyman phone hear it too. Arak immediately search the name. Hakan tells that the man is dangerous and that Toyman should stay away from him. Toyman asks why. Hakan says because the man destroys lives. Toyman asks whether he destroys Aras' family. Hakan says the trust is not that simple. Aras does world Toyman loses patience. He asks one direct question. Do you know where Damar is? Hakan looks at him. There is long silence. Hakan says, I know who he became. Aras heard this through the phone. His entire body goes still. This is the answer he has been chasing. Not where Damar was, not what happened years ago. Hakan knows who Damar is now. Aras wants to run directly to the villa. Lela stops him. She tells him they needs to hear the rest. Inside the room, Toyman asks for the new name. Hakan refuses. Toyman asks why. Hakan says because finding Damar will not create the reunion Aras expects it will open something far more dangerous. Toyman asks what could possibly be more dangerous than hiding a child from his brothers. Hakan says Toyman still does not understand his own places in the story. The sentence changes everything again. Toyman becomes silent. Toyman tells Hakan places the help Aras dig any deeper. He should first ask with the same people who changed Damar. Life also appears in Toyman's childhood. Toyman's face loses color outside listening through the phone. Dennis looks at Aras. Aras looks at Lela. No one speaks. Hakan are just confirm what they feared. The mysterious are connected. Toyman Weather's father is saying that something happens to him. A child too. Hakan tells him to stop asking questions if he wants to know the life he has. Toyman enough answered that his father crossed that line years ago when he decided to build their family's own line. He leaves. Hakan does not stop him. That is almost more frightening. When Hakan returns to the other, he is different. He trusts about Damar is no longer only Era's problem. Toyman was how to question his own identity. Asks whether he is okay. Toyman says no. Then he says are going to find Damar's name. Aras tell him Hakan may have said those things only to manipulate him. But manipulations work best when it built around something real. The group begins searching. The name Hakan revealed for the unidentified man. They discovered several old records, but one recent connection stands out. The man currently works through a company involved in private transport. One vehicle registers to the company traveled to a location outside Boardroom only 2 days earlier. The timing matches the moment. Hakan realized Arask was getting close. Arask believed Damars may have been moved using dead vehicles. They trace the destination it leads to and others. Coastal's town. Arask is ready to Coastal's. We leave immediately. This time nobody tries to stop him. Instead, Lala says she is coming. Toyman, he is coming too. Dennis say obvious she is not staying behind after everything she heard. Dogong offers help with transportations and information. Aras look at him. Completely different worlds are now united by a trust one of them fully understand. He realized that whatever they discover next will change every relationships between them. Before leaving, Aras returns one more to the children homes. He stands outside for a moment. The building is quiet. He remembers himself as a child waiting for someone to come back for him. He remembered promising himself that he would find Damar is now matters how long it took for the 4 years. That promise was the only thing he could control. Now he may finally be close enough to fulfill it. But she is also afraid than ever. Lila finds him there. He does not ask what he is thinking. She simply stands beside him, asks while says that if Tamar not another name and another life, he may not want Aras to enter it. Lala says then Aras will not to respect that. Aras look hurt by the idea. Lala continue finding someone does not mean owning their futures. Aras' job is to give Damar the trust and the choice that was taken from both of them. Aras understands he has spent so long thinking about what he needs to Damar, what he has not considered what Damar may needs from him. Maybe Damar will need a brothers, maybe he will need time, maybe he will need answers, maybe he will be angry or ask. Decide that whatever happens, he will not force another choice onto Damar. After so many adults have already controlled his life. These decisions make real growth. The search is no longer only about Aras' pain, it is about Damar's right to know who he is. As the group prepares to leave, another sense may show Hakan standing alone in the villa. Sebnam asks whether he told Toyman the trust. Hakan says only enough. Sebnam asks whether that was voice. Hakan answered that there is no voice choice left. She asks what he happened if Aras find Damar. Hakan looked toward the old family photograph. He says the problem is not Aras finding Damar. The problem is what Damar will remember when he Aras. The final line could completely change the audience expectations. Until now, everyone has assumed Damar is simply a missing brothers who do not know the trust. But what if Damar remembers something what it witnessed an event when he was very young? What if somebody changes his identity not only to hide him from Aras, but to hide what he knows? What if the accident from years ago, Toyman hidden past, the Kaya family fear and the separations from the brothers all began on the same night? Suddenly Aras is not only looking for the brother, he is looking for the one person who may unknown every secret. The road ahead becomes more dangerous. Became powerful people may believe Damar memory can destroy everything they build. And somewhere under another name, Damar may already do starting to remember. The sections can end with a young man in an unknown room, waking from a disturbing dream. We do not clearly see his face. At first he hears the sound of children Running through a corridor, he sees flashes of an old building, a hand pulling him away, and other child carry a calling his name, a car moving through the night, and adults telling him not to fight back. He wakes suddenly. For a moment, he does not know where he is. Someone knocks on his door. He calls him by a name that is not Tamar. He answers automatically. Then he looks at man's mark on his wrist. A memory returns, a boy voice, Tamar. He freezes. The name feels familiar, although he cannot understand why. Far away, Aras is getting into a car to continue his search. Nether brother, how close the trust has come. Aras believes the hardest part has been finding the road to Damer. He does not yet understand that reaching Damer may only be on the beginnings, because once the brothers stand face to face, the secret to the Akaya family, Toyman childhood, Sahrath hidden dealing, and the choices made years ago, many finally collides. At the time, nobody will be able to put the trust back where it was built. Daha 17. In the next episode of Daha 17, the search for Damer may enters the most serious stage yet. Arask may spend years chasing memories, broken promises, hidden documents, and people who never wanted to tell him the trust. But now the situations feel different. For the first time, he has real evidence that Damer may have been given another identity. The discovery changes the meanings of entire search. Arask is no longer looking only for a missing boy. He is looking for a young man who have no grew up under another's name inside another family and with a completely different understanding for his own past. This possibility gives Aras hope, but it also frightens them. He also imagining that finding Stemmer would end his pain. Now he understands that finding him he may create a completely new kind of pain. Damer may not recognize him. Damer may not believe him. He may even sees Arask as a stranger trying to destroy the only life he remembers. As Arask, Lala, Toyman, and Dennis prepare to follow the new trail outside Bodrum. Nobody knows what they will find. The only things they understand is that Hakan knows much more than he has admitted. His word to Toyman has confirmed that Damer survived long enough to receive another identity, and the fact that Hakan refuses to reveal that identity suggests the secret is still dangerous today. Aras feels as if every minute matters. If Hakan has already started moving people and destroy evidence, Demir could disappear again before Aras reaches him. The journey begins. Before sunrise, Aras wants to leave quietly because he does not want Hakan people to notice them. Toyman argues that using Aras' usual car would be foolish because it is too easy to recognize. Dugan offers another vehicle connected to the one of his friends, a car that nobody would immediately associate with any of them. Arask does not enjoy depending on Dugan's, especially because he still does not fully understand why Dogan is so interested in helping. Leila notices the suspicious and tells him that is not the moment of jealousy or pride. Aras says he is not jealous. Dennis laughs and tells him that he becomes every conditioning whenever he says something nobody believes. Toyman asks that Aras should stop pretending because even people who met him yesterday could see him reactions everywhere. Dogan speaks to Leila. Aras tells Toyman to focus on his own problems. Toyman answers that he has plenty of problems and Aras happens to be one of them. The small argument helped break the tensions, but under the Omars, everyone is nervous. They are going somewhere connected to the private transport company that may have moved Dammer. They have no idea whether the person they are following to still there, whether the gun has already warned him, or whether the entire situation is another trap. Leila has brought copies of the document she found in the family storage room. Toyman has the old photograph connected to his childhood. Dennis has organized name, dates, and company records on her phone. Dogan has gathered information from his father's old business contract. Aras carries almost nothing except the page containing the child transfer detail and the photograph of Dammer he has kept for years. The pictures show as much younger boy, so it cannot tell him what Dammer looks like now. Still, Aras keeps it close, but it reminds him why he refuses to stop. During the drive, Leila noticed him staring at the photograph. She asked what Dammer would like a child. Aras is surprised by the questions. Most people ask how they were separated or so long he had been searching. Very few asked who Dammer actually was. Aras says Dammer laughed easily. He was curious about everything and used to follow Aras everywhere it was claimed somewhere dangerous. Dammer tried to climb after him if Aras not into trouble. Dammer somehow ended up beside him. Aras smiled as he remembered. But the smile soon disappeared. He says Dammer hated sleeping alone and always wanted Aras nearby during storms. Leila quietly asked whether Aras thinks he still remembers those things. Aras says he does not know. That uncertainty is becoming harder than the search itself. Toyman hears part of the conversation from the front seat. He looks out of the window and says nothing. Dennis notices his silence. He understands that Dammer changes identity has made Toyman think about his own childhood. Hakan warning suggests that whatever happened to Dammer may also connect to Toyman's earliest years. Toyman has tried to act as though he only had been asked, but these questions are now deeply personal. He probably remembers pieces of childhood that do not fit together. They are periods for which he has almost not memory. They are photographs with missing states. They are places his family never speak about. He once believed his was normal. Now every empty space feels suspicious. Demmer asks him quality whether he is thinking about what Hakan said. Toyman answers that he is trying not to. Dennis said that usually means he is thinking about nothing else. Toyman gives a nothing else. Toyman about asking else. Toyman gives a weak sample. He admits that he does not know which answers would be lost. Discovering that Hakan lied about something huge, or discovering that Hakan's hold the trust when they want him to stop looking. Dennis tells him that whatever the trust is, he should learn it fear about grows when people are allowed to choose what you are permitted to know about your own life. The group eventually reaches the coastal town connected to the transport company. The place is quieter than Boardroom, with narrow streets, small cafes, and boats moving slowly along the harbor. Nothing about it looks dangerous. That makes Aras even more careful. Important secrets are often hidden in ordinary places because nobody thinks to look there. They do not go directly to do registered address. Instead, they split up. Toyman and Dennis walk through the harbor area pretending to be terrorists. Leila and Ogans check a small business office connected to the transport company. Arask watches the road from a cafe across the street. He does not like being separated from Leila, but he understands that 5 young people arriving together would attention. The plan is simple. They will matches first identity who enters and leaves, then decide what to do. Aras is promises not to rush is alone. Lala make him repeat that promise because she knows how quickly something's connected to Damer. At the company office, Lala discovered the place is officially closed to renovations. A paper sign on the door says business is temporary, begins handed through another address. Dogan photographed the notice. Something about the address seems familiar to him. He remembers his father's once mentioning a private guest house in the same area. During a conversation about old business partners, he calls one of the family employees without explaining why he needs the information. The employee confirmed that a property near that address was once connected to a foundation. The foundation name is different from the organization's or Aras documents, but Dognans noticed that one former director appear in both records. This is the first new connections of the day. He tells Lala that the pupils behind the old child transfer organizations may have created new companies and foundations over the years. Changes name whenever attention becomes dangerous. Lala says that would explain why every road seems to disappear after a few years. They are following one company. They are following the same people hiding behind different names. Across the harbor, Toyman and Dennis noticed a man leaving a small administrative building. Toyman organized him from one of the photographs they collected. He is older now, but the face is unmistakable. The man was presenting beside Hakan and the mysterious transport years ago. Dennis tells Toyman not to move too quickly. They follow him through a crowded street. He stops at the pharmacy, then walks toward a residential area. Toyman sends the locations to Aras. Aras immediately wants to leave his position, but Dennis messages him and tells him to stay where he is until they know more. Aras becomes frustrated, but he keeps in promise. The man eventually enters a small house behind a high wall. There are no signs outside. A security camera watches the gate. Toyman takes a photograph on the license plate of a car parked nearby. Then he searches the number through information they already gathered. They realize the vehicle is registered to a company linked to Hakan network. Now they know they are in right place. The group meets again a small restaurant away from the harbor. The company what they found. Lala temporary business and Toyman houses are only a short distance apart. The registered company, the private foundations, and the all child transfer organizations share at least two people in their histories. Aras say they should go to the house tonight. Toyman argues that they will do not know whether Demmer is there. Aras says they may never get another chance. Danny suggests watching the property until evening. If somebody important arrive, they may learn more without entering. Dogan agrees and offers to rent a room nearby so they can observe without sitting in a car all day. Aras dislikes how particles Dognans is becoming. Leila noticed and tell him to start. Aras says he did not say anything. She answered that he faced it back in boredom. Hakan learned that Toyman did not come home that night. He also learned Leila is missing from the villa. He does not need to anyone tell him. Left together with Arask, Hakan becomes furious, but he does not need anyone to tell him they left together with Aras. Hakan becomes furious, but his anger is mixed with fear. He knows where the trail may be making them. Sebnam asks him whether he can stop them. Hakan says he can slow them down. Sebnam tells him slowing Aras down has never worked from long. Every attempt to frightening him, his mate is more determined. Hakan says Aras is not the problem anymore. Toyman is Aras was always as outsiders. Hakan expected him to attack. But Toyman knows the family from inside. He understands Hakan habits and can recognize lines that would fool others. Sebnam asks what he intends to do if Toyman leans everything. Hakan looks away. His silence suggests that the secret involving Toyman may be even more painful than the one involving Demers. Nure, meanwhile, may be struggling with guilt after her conversations with Lala. She has spent years convincing herself that silence protected people, but she now sees how much damage that silence created. Aras grew up without answers. Damer may have lived under a false identity. Lala is fighting her family. Toyman has started question his childhood. Sehrat near died carrying information everyone else was afraid to speak about. Nure knows she cannot continue pretending that staying quiet is natural. Silence has become a choice, and that choice forces the line. She takes out an old box she had hidden from years. Inside are later photographs and a small notebook. One letter contains Demer original full name and second name written underneath it. Nure looked at the page for a long time. This could be answers Arask need, but giving it to him would expose pupils who once trusted her. It might also put Demer its immediate dangers. Nure begins crying because every option seems wrong. Eventually, he makes a decision. She photographed the page and set it to a number she has saved but rarely uses. The message contain are not explanations, only the image. The person who received the photograph may be Sehrat. If Sehrat is still recovering and weak, the movement gives him a recorded role in the handwriting. Handwriting immediately he understands that Nure has finally decided to. They understand Nure has finally decided to move instead of contacting Aras directly. Sehrat calls someone else because he believes Aras' phone may be watched. The person he connected it Barry's. Barry's is surprised to near fear from and suspicious about everything Sehrat says. Sehrat tells him that if Aras called, he could give him one message, the name they are searching for. Change twist not once. Paris asks what this means. Sehrat says that first identity was temporary. Damir may have received anything another identity letters before Barris can ask more. Sehrat ends the call. This new information make the search harder even if through first record of Damar first new name. Damar name may also have disappeared years ago at the guest house near Daha, but the group continue watching the house. Toyman found through bionuclears. They see people moving in and out. Most it appears ordinary. A woman deliver glorious as an old arrives with medical supplies and other cars stop briefly and leave. Then Aras sees a young man stop into a balcony at the back of the property. His face is partly hidden by distance, but Aras immediately becomes tense. The young man is around Damar age. His hair and body shape could match what Aras immediate methods. Damar might look like Aras stand up. Leila grabs his arm. She asks whether he can see the face. Aras says not. Toyman tells him that guest from a distance is dangerous. Aras knows they are right, but his hair refuses to stay calm. The young man will remain outside or only for a few minutes before somebody calls his back inside. Aras watches until the door closes. Dennis noticed something else. The young man did not appear free. He looked over his shoulder before stepping outside and moved quickly when Ken called. She asked whether they are sure the house is a normal resistance. Tokans checked the property detail and discovered that its officially registered are temporary accommodations for private medical clients. That could explain the supplies, but it could also provide a legal excuse to keep pupils there without attracting attention. Arask wants to know whether the young man is patient. Leila points out they cannot simply ask. Tolman suggests learning who work there. If they can identify a nurse, driver or maintenance workers, they are find someone earlier to approach than the pupil is charged. Dognans discovered that a nearby cafe regularly delivers food to the house. Dennis volunteers to speak with the worker because she can make conversations without seeming suspicious. Toyman says he will go with her. Dennis tells him to people asking questions would look more suspicious than one Toyman. She says he is not telling her go alone. She raises an eyebrow and asks whether he is worried. Toyman says he is begins particles. Dennis smiles because this is exactly the kind of excuse she expected. In the end, they go together but still separately. Dennis speaks to a waiter and casually explains that she is trying to find a caution staying somewhere nearby. During the conversation, she asked about the large house on the hill. The wait she says different people stay there, usually for short period. He has delivered food there many times, but the staff never allow him beyond the gate. He remembers seeing a young man recently, perhaps 18 or 19, but he does not know his name. Toyman, listening from another table, become interested when the waiters says the young man arrived only 2 days ago. 2 days ago matches the vehicle's movement they traced. When Dennis returns with the information, Araz is certain the young man could be Damer. Lala tells him that possibility is not proof. Araz answers that every detail fits. A young man on the right age arrived through a company connected to Akan just when their investigations go close. What else should he think? Lala says he should think carefully because hope can make him see what he wants to see. Her words hurt, but Aras knows she is trying to protecting him from another disappointment. He sits down and looks at the old photograph again. He says there may be one way to know. Demers has a small scar near his left shoulder from an accident when they were children. Leila asks whether it would still be visible. Araz says probably. The problem is they cannot get close enough to see it. That evening, the group watches the house from several positions. They notice the security pattern. One guard leaves around dinner time, and other walk the back garden. Every 20 minutes, the young man appears at the balcony again at the time wearing a sleeveless shirt. Ares raises the binocular. His hand shakes so badly that Toyman takes them from him. Toyman looks carefully. He cannot see clearly because of the distance. But he noticed a mark near the young man's shoulder. He gives the binoculars back without saying anything. Aras looks. There is a scares. For several seconds, Aras forgets to breathe. Leila asks whether he sees. Aras whispers that the scare is there. Nobody knows what to say. If still is not absolute proof, many people have scared, but combined with the age, arrival date, and company connection, the possibility becomes much stronger. Arask decides he cannot wait another night. This time, Toyman does not simply oppose him. He asks what Araz plans to do if he gets inside and discovers the young man is Damer. Will he grab him and leave? Will he tell him the trust is 5 minutes? What if Damer's care for the people he believes are family? What if the staff calls police? Aras becomes angry because Toyman forces him to face questions he does not know want to answer. He says he will know what to do when he sees Damer. Toyman tells him that is not a plan. Lala spots Toyman. She says they should try to speak with the young man alone rather than storm the house. Aras asks how they are supposed to do that. Dennis suggests sending him a message. The group spent an hour trying to discover at the young man's current name. Dogan checked property-related records. Toyman searched the social connections of people linked to the house. Dennis looks through public profiles connected to the medical foundations. Finally, Lila finds a photograph from an event held several years earlier. In the background in a teenage boy's booth who looks similar the young man on the balcony. The captions name several sudden spots by the foundation. One name may match him marked. Aras stare at the photograph. The boy looks nothing like the small child as his memory, yet something about the eyes feels familiar. He says Damer had the same expression when he was trying not to smile. Leila warms is again not to decide before they know. They search the mart name when the foundation and find every titles, no family photos, no clear school history almost, and in his life begins only a few years ago. That absence makes Toyman suspicious. A normal teenager usually leaves some kind of public trails, even if small. Mercies the toxic exist only is controlled. Daha 17 in the next episode of Daha 17, the story may begins at with a feeling that begins is the same anymore. The accident has shaken everyone, but the real damage is not only physical. The accident has stopped old questions, hidden fears, and secrets that some people believe would stay buried forever. Aras awakes up with only one thought in his mind. He still has to fight Damer. Everything else around him is important, but fighting his brothers has become the reason he continues moving forward. He has already risked friendship, love, safety, and his own future for this search. Now Serhat has left him with a struggle screw, a single word that appears almost meaningless at first. Aras no Serhat would not have used his lost strength to say something useless. There has to be a reason behind it. Somewhere inside that word is another road leading toward them. Aras began thinking about every person, every building, every forgotten place, and every conversation connected to Sahrat. He repeated the word in his mind again and again, but instead of becoming clear, the mystery becomes deeper. This time, Aras understands that rushing into dangers may not be enough. He has to think carefully. He has to understand the people who has been lying to him. Most importantly, he has to understand why the Akaya family seems connected to almost closed doors standing between him and his brothers. Meanwhile, Toyman is dealing with a completely different pain. His growing belief that his father has hidden something huge from his beginning to change the way he uses his own family. The foremost of his life, Toyman has fought people outside his home. Now he is slowly realizing that his biggest fight may be watching inside it. He begins looking back at memories that once seems normal, a strange silence from his father's an old photograph quickly removed from sight, a name or no one wanted to discuss, a place his family never visited again. Small detail begins joining together. Stoyman has no full answers yet, but for the first time he starts to believe that his own past may have been carefully edited by the people who raised him. Arask does not share everything with Lala immediately, and this become one of the um, most dangerous choices he can make. Lala has fought him before, even when standing beside Arask means standing against her own family. She has protected him, listens to him, and trusted him intentions when everyone around her tried to convince her that he was trouble. But trust cannot survive forever when only one person knows the full trust. Lala senses the Arask is hiding something again. He sees in the way he chants the subject. She noticed how quickly he puts his phone away when a message arrives. She knows the difference between Aras begin worried and Aras begins secretive. This time she refuses to ignore it. Their relationship has reached a point where simple romantic promises are no longer enough. Lala wants honesty. She does not want to hear that Aras is protecting her. She wants to decide her herself where she can handle. Aras, however, is noticed Arask she decides to wherever Arask is afraid to conceive but her vast trouble, but she cannot survive forever when only one person knows the whole trust. Lela senses that Arask is hiding something again. She sees in the way the chances the subject. She noticed how quickly he puts his phone away when a message arrives. He knows his difference between Aras begins worried and Aras begins secretive. This time she refuses to ignore it. Their relationship has reached a point where simple romantic promises are no longer enough. Lala wants honesty. She does not want to hear that Taraz is protecting her. She wants to decide her family what she can that feelings has everything will place her directly his anger. He believes silence is protection while Lala sees silence as another form of betrayal. This difference may create a serious break between them. When she asked him directly when Sehrat told him, Aras hesitated for only a second. Both that second tells Leila everything. She understands that there is more. She asks again, this time with less patience. Aras said that the needs time. Leila reminds him that every time he asks for time, she later discovered that he was hiding something bigger. Aras tries to explain that Demer life may depend on the next move. Lala answers that she understands his needs to find his brothers, but she cannot keep walking behind him while being treated like someone who deserves only half the trust. The world hit Aras harder than anger. Would he know she is right, but she also knows what kind of people are watching them. He feels trapped between protecting the persons he loves and trusting her enough to let her face the dangers beside him. At the Akaya house, the atmospheres may become even colder. Stoyman no longer accepts simple explanations. He begins questioning Hakan in the way he has never done before. His questions are not loud at first. This makes them more dangerous. Toyman is watching reactions rather than listening to answers. He asks about old family connection. He asks why curtains names everyone uncomfortable. He asks why Sahrat knew so much about them. Hakan tries to control the conversation, but Toyman is no longer the young woman who easily be distracted with another or money. Something has changed in him. He has started noticing that whenever he got close to sensitive subject, somebody immediately tries to move him away from him. Hakan tells him that every family has old problems and that digging through the past only creates unnecessary pain. Toyman hears the warning hidden inside those words. Instead of stopping, he becomes more certain that he is moving in the right direction. Sapnam also recognizes the danger. She knows that Toyman's security can become more destructive than Arask's direct attacks because Toyman has access to the family from inside. Arask has to break into their world to find answers. Toyman already lives there. He knows their habits, their weak points, their private room, and their places where family documents may be hidden. If he becomes determined enough, stopping he will be difficult. Sebnam tries another method. Instead of ordering Toyman to stop, she speaks to him gently. She tells him that his father has made mistake, but she has always tried to protect the family. Toyman listens but noticed how carefully she chooses every word. When she asks her a simple question about an old period of their lives, she avoids giving a clear date. That small mistake may be enough. Toyman realized that Sebnam also knows something from that moment. His search stop begins suspicious and become an investigation. Arask meanwhile began working on Sahrat's mysterious world. He first thinks it could be a person's name, then he considers that it might be name of a street or boat and old hotels, a workshop, or even a childhood nickname. He runs to Mertens because Merton has been outside him in one of his most dangerous moments and understand how serious the search for Tamer is. Merton tries to slow him down. He reminds Aras how many times he has almost lost everything by running toward the first possible clue. Aras knows this, but waiting has never been easy for him. Every hour that passes feels like another hour. Tamer remain alone. However, still this clue is different. Aras barely managed to give it him. Aras cannot waste it. They begin going through what they know about Zahrat. Where did he work? Who did he meet before he did became involved with the Akaya? Which places did the visit? What informations was he trying to sell? Who was he afraid of? Slowly Aras noticed the Zahrat life had two different sides. There was the side everyone could see, and outside connected to old favors, secret payment, and peoples who prefer not be remember. One old connections catches Ara's attention. It points toward a locations outside the places he has already searched. The locations does not immediately seems connected to Tamar, which is exactly why Aras became interested in it. The Kaya are powerful because they hidden important things behind ordinary appearance. A places that seems meaningless may be the Sarat places that hide danger. Stress. Aras could decide to visit it, but he does not tell Lala. He tells himself that this is because he wants to protect her. Deep inside, he knows and other reasons he is afraid she will stop it. This is also where Dogan's arrival can begin changing the balance. He entered the Akaya circle as someone who does not appear dangerous at first. He is the son of family friend, which means he already has history with people in the house. He understands their manners and know how to behave around them. His arrival seems natural enough to outsider, but in a family already filled with secret, no new persons is truly simple. Hakon's might Akaya than the first show. He has grown up hearing stories about them, seeing them and gathering and watching how their public image differs from the private reality. He may remember things from years ago that Toyman himself was too young to notice. His presence can create another problems around Lala as well. Hakan may seize Dogons and the kind of young man he would rather have near his daughters. He comes from the correct family, understands their world, and does not carry the dangers that follow Aras everywhere. Even if Dogan has no bad intentions at the beginning, his exist can be used against Aras. Hakan does not have to directly order Lala away from Aras if he can slowly create another path in front of her. A dinner, an old friendship, a family event, a simple pride home can all become way to place Dokons beside Lala. Lala will understand what her family is doing and may resist it, but Arask may not see the situations clearly. He is already under pressure. If he sees Dokon getting close to Lala while their own relationship is struggling, the jealousy can push him into another mistake. The dangerous part in Dex Dokon does needs to behave badly if we claim respectively and patience. Arask may look like the unreasonable one. Toyman's story may move in the and other patience when he discover a piece of evidence connected to the accident and his father's secret. It may be something very well Perhaps an old address written behind a photograph, a forgotten restaurant, a key, a name in a document, or a message that should have been deleted years ago. Whatever it is, it gives Toyman his physical connections to the question in his mind until how he became that the imagining that now he was something real. He does not immediately confront his family because he has learned that direct and confrontations give Hakan time to create another explanation. Instead, Toyman quality followed the clue. This is a new version of Toyman. He has always been emotional and quick to react, but now he begins using patience. Janice may notice the change before anyone else. She sees him becoming quiet and distant. At first, she thinks he is still affected by everything that happens between them and around Arask. But when she asks him what is wrong, Toyman gives us answers that sounds to control. Dennis knows him well enough to understand that he is hiding some things. Their connections has been growing through conflict, jokes, pain, and movement. When each has unexpectedly protected the others, Dennis does not force him immediately. She simply tells him that he gets into trouble, he should at least tell one person where he is going. Toyman laughs and asks when he became so responsible. Dennis says somebody has to be responsible because he clearly is not. The joke creates a lighter moment, but beneath in a serious feelings, Toyman realizes that Dennis is worried about him. For someone who often hides behind anger and pride, being honestly cared for can be uncomfortable. He changes the subject, yet her world remains in his mind. At the same time, Dennis may be facing her own emotional change. Her feelings have been complicated for a long time. Arask one occupied a place in her heart that she did not know how to control. Seeing him choose Lala hurts her, and that pain made her angry at everyone, including herself. But Toyman has slowly become someone she cannot easily ignore. He is difficult, proud, and often irritating, yet he also understands curtains wounds without needing them explained. Both of them know what it is like to live inside a family situation that looks different from the outside. Their closeness does not need to become a sudden romance. In fact, it will be more powerful. It is developed through a small moment. Toyman may call Dennis for help without admitting why he chose her. Dennis may complain but still come. They may argue during the entire journey, only to realize later that they have become a team. Toyman's search into his past can bring Dennis deeper into the main mystery because once she helps him, she may discover something connected not only to Toyman but also to Eras. This will create a strong connections between the separate storyline. The young peoples may think they are dealing with different problems, while the trust is that all their problems come from the same old secret. Eras search for Dahmer, Toyman search for his own past. Dennis tries to understand Toyman, Lala tries to understand Aras. None of them yet realize that the answers may be waiting in one place. The children home remain another emotional center of Arask's life, even when his search for Dahmer takes most of his angry. Aras cannot forget the people who became his family when he had no family on his own. The threat against the home has already shown him that the people around him can be used as pressure point. His enemies do not have to attack Aras directly. They can hurt the people he cares about and force him to make impossible decisions. Paris and Aslam understand their betters now. They may notice strangers watching the buildings or asking questions. She seems innocent. Aras become worried that someone is still trying to find a way to move the children close the home or create enough troubles that he cannot remain focused on them. This creates another difficult choice if he leaves to follow Sahrat Kulu. He cannot be there to protect everyone if he stays. He may lose the first real lead to his brother in a long time. Barris tell him that he cannot carry every problem alone. Aras does not know how to accept that silence. Childhood survival had taught him to believe that if he does not take responsibility, something terrible will happen. Barris argued that being responsible does not mean controlling every time. Sometimes it means trusting other people. Those were connected directly to Ara's problems with Lala. He began asked to learn the same lesson in different parts of his life. Trust is not only about believing that others love you. Trust means giving them the trust and allowing them to stand beside you even when you are afraid. Leila, after their argument, may decide to stop waiting for Aras to tell her everything. She has spent too much time, begins treated like the protected daughter of the Akaya family. Her family makes also someone makes choices for her, even if he reasons is love. Lala begins to taking away the some things he right to decide. She wants to help Arask, but she also wants to understand what her own family has done. Her investigations can begin quality. She knows the villa better than Arask ever could. She know which doors are normally locked, which rooms her parents avoid, what time the staff leaves curtain, Arask, and where all family belongings are stored. She starts with a simple question about Sahrat. One member of the household reacts strangely. That reactions give Lala another direction. She searches boxes, all boxes, and find evidence that Sahrat's connections to the family began much earlier. That she believes this discovery shakes her until how she may have through the conflict with Aras begins because of recent events. Now she sees signs that the story started years before either of them understood it. They may be photographs of people she does not recognize. Documents carry family names in unfamiliar combinations or reference to locations that appears more than once. One word catches her attention. It remembers the clue Aras refused to explain. Suddenly Lala realized something painful. Aras may be searched for the same things she just found inside her own house. She could call him immediately. Instead, she hesitates for the first time. She feels what it feels like to possess information they may put someone else in danger. Now she understands Ara's fear, but understanding it does not erase her anger. Hakan begins feeling the walls closing around him. Aras is still searching. Toyman has started questioning the past. Lala is becoming harder to control. Shabnam is worried Sahrat has survived long enough to leave behind clues. Every problem that Hakan tried to solve by force has created another problem. He may decide that the time of warning is over by using the violence against could attract too much attention. Hakan therefore turns toward a question solution. He may try to remove important evidence, send someone away, or permanently close access to the locations connected to the old secret. These decisions create urgency without Aras even know it while Aras is trying to understand where to go. Hakan pupils may already be moving toward the same place to destroy whatever remains there. Hakan also considers using Laila's emotional pressures. He knows that Aras will risk almost anything for his brothers. But Laila in one person who can become him hesitate if Aras believe his actions will destroy Laila's life. He may slow down. Hakan speaks to his daughter and tells her that Aras is bringing dangers into the family. Laila answers that begins maybe anger already there. Hakan is surprised by the response. She asks him why a 17-year-old boy is searching for the brothers has enough power to frightening an entire rich family. If Aras know nothing, why are they so desperate to stop him? Hakan cannot give a convincing answer. Laila sees the silence and understands that the father is more afraid of the trust that of Aras himself. Sabnams may then try to speak with Laila separately. Unlike Hakan, she understands that directly pressure will only push Laila closer to Aras. She uses emotional instead. She talks about family loyalty, reputations, and the sacrifice parents make for their children. She reminds Laila that outsider will leave when things becomes difficult. When Laila family remains, Laila listens but no longer accepts these ideas without question. She asks whether loyalty means protecting the people love you or hiding their mistakes. Sabnam says some trust can destroy a family. Laila replies that perhaps the lie is what destroys it first. These conversations become important because Sabnam may reveal more than she intends. She speaks about even from the past as though she personally witnessed some things Laila never knew about. Laila noticed when she asked a follow-up questioning. Sabnam quickly ends the discussions once again. Silence becomes evidence. Laila is certain that both her own parents has something about the story Aras is trying to uncover. She cannot pretend otherwise. Her relationships with Aras may be damaged, but the trust is bigger than their argument. She decides she has to reach him. Before Laila can do that, Dogonans may unexpectedly appear. His arrival became more than a romantic complications because his family has been close to the Akayas. He recognized an old photograph or name that Laila has discovered. He usually mentions that his parents used to speak about a property connected to the Akayas years ago. Laila immediately becomes interested, but she tries not to show it. She asks where it was. Dokans is surprised by the questions and wants to know why she cares. Laila says she found something in storage and becomes curious. He gives her enough information to confirm that the place still exists. What he does not realize is that the location is connected to the clue Aras is chasing. This gives Laila a chance to reach the trust before Aras. It also places Dogan inside the mystery without him understanding the full dangers. Depending on his characters, may later become an ally, a rival, or someone caught between both sides. For now, Laila uses what he tells her and leaves quickly. Dokan watches her and understands that something serious is happening inside a family that normally work very hard to look perfectly. Aras finally reaches his own conclusions about Sahrat word. The clue is not a person's name at all. It refers to an old place. Martin find a connections between the world and a location that exists years ago but was officially closed. The property changed ownership several times. making it difficult to trace back to the Akayas. That hidden ownership is what makes Aras certain. Someone work hard to separate the family name from the place. He believes Damer may have been kept there, or at least someone connected to Damer once passed through it. Mertens warns him not to go alone. Aras says he will not go, but his face tells a different story. He knows involving more people increase the risk. Before leaving, he checks on the children at the home and speaks with Paris. He does not explain everything. He simply says that if does not return by morning, Barres should call someone he trusts and give them an involved. Barres immediately become angry. He asks why Aras always talk like the expected not to come back. Aras tries to make a joke, but Barres refuses to laugh. He tells him that fighting Damer means nothing if Aras destroys himself before they can meet. That sentence stays with Aras for years. He has imagined the moment he finally sees his brothers. He has never seriously imagined what comes after. Will Damer remember him? Will he wants to know him? What if Damer has another family? What if the trust about their separation is worse than Aras unexpected? The question frightening him more than any physical dangers. Aras head toward the location as evening falls. The place is far from the lively beauty normally isolated with boredom. It feels forgotten, almost separated from the world around it. An old structure stands behind damaged wall and overgrown land. She windows are covered, others are broken. They are signs that nobody officially lives there. Yet Aras immediately notice something stranger. They look on. One gate is never than everything around it. Somebody still comes here. He does not enter immediately. For once he waits and watches our vehicles arrive. Two men get out and carry boxes inside. Aras cannot see what is the man. He takes photograph from and distance. One of men sees familiar. Aras has been Himha Khan connected to the Akaya. Aras feels the old impulse to rush forward, grab the man, and damage answers. He forces himself to stay hidden. If he is discovered how he may lose the entire lead. He waits until the men leave, then he moves toward the building. Unknown to Aras, Toyman is also on his way. There his own investigation has led him to the same address through a completely different path. Toyman believes the place the hold evidence about something his father did years ago. He does not know that Aras has connected to it. Damn it, this is where the story can make the mystery much larger. Two young men are looking for different answers, but both roads end the same door. Toyman arrives for another side of the property and notices that the gate has recently been opened. He assumes his father may have sent someone ahead of him. He became questions his phone ring. If the Dennis Toyman considers ignoring the call about but answers quality. Dennis answers where he is. He lies and says he is driving. He immediately says she can hear him walking. Toyman smiles, dispute the tensions. He tells her she asks too many questions. Dennis tells him that someone has to because he gives too few answers. Toyman finally says he is checking some things and will explain later. Dennis makes him promise to send the location. He refuses. She threatening to call every hospital in boardrooms. Just to annoy him, Toyman ends the call, but after a moment Sanders her the locations anyway. That small choices could later save both him and Aras. Inside the building, Aras discovers sign that the place was once used for more than storage. There are old rooms with numbers on their doors. Some are empty, others contain damaged furniture and boxes of records. He uses the light from the phone because turning on the building's electricity could reveal his presence. His search slowly most appear are useless. He sees his dates from year ago, name he does not know, and documents so old that parts are unreadable. Then he finds something that changes everything, a reference to be a child. The information is incomplete, but the date matches the period. Arask has been investigations. His hand begins to shake. He photographs the documents before touching anything else. There is no clear name, only an initials and a note about a transfer. Arask immediately thinks of Tamar. The child may be someone else, but hope is powerful. He continues searching. Stoneman enters through another door. He hears movement and frees. He exclaims one of his father's men is still inside. Arask hears him too for several moments. Both move through different corridors, each believing the other in the enemy. Toyman reaches for something he can use to protect himself. Aras hides behind a doorway when Toyman passes. Aras grabs him. A brief struggles believe before they recognize each other. Both are shocked. Toyman asks what Aras is doing there. Aras asks the same question Nathan wants to explain first. Their old tensions immediately returns. Toyman excuses Aras of following him. Aras laughs at the idea and says Toyman is not important enough to follow. Toyman tells him he was doing perfectly well before Aras appeared in his life. Aras answers that Toyman family seems to have appeared in his life long before they personally meet. Deadlines change the mood. Toyman asks what he means. Aras realizes he has said too much for once. The two may be forced to talk instead of writing. Toyman reveals that he found evidence suggesting his father's and hidden connections to the property. Aras says Aras give him a clue later.